Welcome to your favourite day of the week, everyone, where it's day number 14 of our advent calendar, where every day up until Christmas we're going for a strange and funny story that has happened in history. And because I've recorded a lot of these episodes at once, I'm just now seeing all your guys' support and comments on the videos, so I do appreciate that a lot, and thank you guys so much. I'm glad you are all enjoying them. Yesterday we went through the craziest bear to fight in World War II. There's probably only one bear that fought in World War II, but we covered it yesterday. And today, we've got an extremely strange story. When I say we're covering strange moments in history, this is it. This is what you waited for. So, what's behind door number 14? When animals were tried and executed. The year is 1386, and in the old Norman town of Falaise, the town's population gathered to witness the execution of a convicted murderer. The defendant was found guilty of attacking and murdering an infant child. Now, executions were commonplace across medieval Europe, so this wasn't such a strange occurrence. However, what was weird about it was that the one being executed was a pig, who got dressed up in a new set of human clothes for the big day. As early as the 9th century all the way to the 18th, animals in Europe were held to the same moral standards as humans, being subject to the laws and capital punishment and even being put in jails. These trials peaked in the 14th to 16th century, where animals were tried and found guilty for crimes against people, property and God. The animals would also get lawyers trying to defend their case to the court. It seems like none of the animal kingdom could escape human law and convictions. As E.P. Evans writes in his book, The Criminal Prosecution and Capital Punishment of Animals from 1906, there were trials and executions for pigs, bulls, horses, eels, dogs, grasshoppers, snails, sheep, among others, and the most strange one being dolphins, which there was little information given on why they were executed, just that it happened in Marseilles in 1596. It's hard to imagine what crime a dolphin could have committed to be put to execution. The most common place for these trials occurred in France, but this may have been due to more careful study of French records, and it seems like pigs were the worst serial offenders. The frequency with which pigs were brought to trial and adjudged to death was owing, in a great measure, to the freedom with which they were permitted to run about the streets to their immense number. Cases upon cases of pigs were recorded where they were chewing off children's noses and ears, and sometimes even killing them. In 1457, in Savigny, France, a mother and her 6 piglets had turned to the life of crime, with all 7 of them being caught in the act. The pigs had killed a 5-year-old child. Now, in today's society, it would be the owner of the pigs that would face the punishment. However, he was only accused of negligence, whereas the pigs faced the death penalty. In the end, the mother was found guilty of the murder and put to execution, whereas the 6 piglets were eventually acquitted as there was no evidence of them being involved, despite them being found covered in blood. Despite the strangeness of imagining a pig oinking back at lawyers when asked about questions of a murder, in all incidences of these recorded animal trials, the judge, lawyers, counsellors and hangman took the cases as seriously as they would any other murder. Historian Peter Dinzelbacher argues that the use of traditional court employees, rather than ones specifically appointed for animal trials, is the foremost proof of how serious these proceedings were. The animals weren't always sentenced to death, however. In the cases of rodents and insects, their trials were comically absurd. Rodents and insects were not the subject of human control and could not be seized and imprisoned by the civil authorities. In the case of vermin trials, the animals would have 3 opportunities to turn up to the court and plead their case. An inability to do so would result in being asked to leave the district in a certain period of time. Rats, for instance, were often sent a friendly letter of advice in order to induce them to quit any house in which their presence is deemed undesirable. So next time you see a spider in your bathtub and you want to get rid of it, instead of crushing it or putting it outside, make sure you write up a letter of eviction instead and get the courts to sign it. The 16th century's most famous insect and vermin defender, Bartholomew Chassenet, once argued that his clients of rats, who had been on trial for destroying crops, couldn't all attend the trial, so should be pardoned. I wonder why they couldn't attend trials. He also stated the serious perils and dangers of a rat making their way to court due to their arch nemesis the cat, who watched all their movements and with fell intent lay in wait for them at every corner and passage, because that's the main reason rats couldn't attend these courts. And one of the strangest punishments in this all is that instead of executing and hanging these insects because you bloody couldn't, they were often excommunicated from the Catholic Church, because I'm sure they're all going to miss going to church on Sunday. And you're probably all wondering, why were so many animals tried and executed? Well, no one actually really knows. With the medieval society being extremely religious, the devil was of course blamed, and the crimes committed by animals were the devil's work, and letting them go unpunished would provide an opportunity for the devil to take over human affairs. And probably a lot of these animal trials were how to settle disputes for the victims of crimes and to keep the peace. But also, giving these animals human trials meant that the medieval society saw these animals as equals to us instead of beneath us, so maybe they weren't so backward thinking after all. Who excommunicates fleas? So I hope you've all enjoyed day 14 of our advent calendar, the absolute absurdity of these trials. There's a lot of cases of these, so I may do a video in future covering some of these absolutely stupid cases. Join us tomorrow, where we learn about ancient Rome's obsession with penis. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that, and I'll see you all then. Peace. Why?